Welcome to this video. In this episode, we will take a step towards level 20, so from 10 to 20, or in this case, level 11. We will explore some new zones in the Dragon Isles, which is what I thought I was gonna explore. I thought I was gonna do some other things with Chromie, but I thought, what the hell, let's do the Dragon Isles. There's some new flying things I heard about, so let's try it out. And then we're gonna meet some new people. I'm gonna do some dungeons. I'm gonna try and do the dungeon finder. I'm gonna try to use the dungeon finder exclusively to level my character when I am doing dungeons or trying to get weapons and stuff and gear. There's a lot of differences I found out after researching a bit of Reddit and Warhead about the different specs you could do from Classic WoW, also from Wrath of the Lich King or Cataclysm or Burning Crusade, up until now in Retail WoW. So in Retail WoW, you don't really have to spec into any specific one, Frost, Fire, or Arcane. I'm playing by myself. I'm not doing any raiding or stuff like that, so I can just pick whatever I wanted to. But if you did want to do raiding, I think you want to go with Fire. But I've been playing Frost from all of my days in Classic, so I'm gonna go with Fire this time just because of the combustion and because of the pyroblast, and I just want to see it happen. It looked so fun when I read about it, so that's why I chose it. I started out in the main menu as you always do. I loaded up and I took a stroll around Orgrimmar to find out what I was supposed to do. I passed by a shop which I had a quest for, and I could turn in all bit different things. It's been a while since I played. I did play through the War Within expansion, just the story, so that's maybe why I have all of these different things. But holy hell, there's a lot of markers and a lot of things happening on my screen right now. It's making me pretty nervous. This is why I just love to play Classic. Look at it. Holy hell, there's a lot for a new player to understand and perceive. If I have never played World of Warcraft before, I definitely would have turned it off and went back to my trusty console instead. I then went over to Chromie and wondering which expansion I should play. I went with the Dragon Isles expansion as it is one of the newer ones and I never actually played through it before. Then cue a lot of boring quests to get me to the Dragon Isles, and we're gonna skip over that. So be ready for the Dragon Isles. 1, 2, 3. I finally arrived at the Dragon Isles, ready to take it on. I got situated with the starting zone here on the island and met everyone. I took on some dragons on the outskirts, and I could then finally pick up my starting quest. I also did a dungeon in the time between that, so that's what we're going to talk about right now. So I went into the dungeon with 4 other players. In dungeons you gotta do 3 DPS, a healer, and a tank. A tank is what takes the damage, healers heals, all the other the DPS are the one that actually dealing damage throughout the dungeon. So here I went from level 12 to level 13 in the first run here, as you can see, and then we went on to do a room. So there was 3 bosses in this dungeon here, and it was not that difficult actually. It was one of the first ones. I don't really remember the name. I'm gonna have to look that up after. As you can see here, I'm timing this by 5, so you can take a look at this. I'm also queuing some good music, of course, and then here is the first boss that we're fighting, calling out different enemies. I'm doing Flame Strike and Arcane Explosions, and there you can see we got the first one. Now we get to fly on the dragons up to the other levels, and we only need 2 more bosses for fortune. Now we have to clear out this ring here of mobs. So the funny thing about this is I think it's weird from Classic, where water works well on fire, but you know, fire does not work well on water. The abilities there, therefore you have to switch. You can't do water on water, you gotta do fire on water. For example, here you can just do fire on fire. I don't think that's what you're doing in Classic. I'm not actually sure. So here we're just supposed to wipe these guys out, and we're almost done with that, and then we just need the 2 other guys. There we go, that was Kokia, so we're down to the last boss. So this is not a very long dungeon. And here we go, here is the final boss. It was pretty hard to understand because I usually not that much going on the screen when you play Classic. I think when you play Black Hell Deep, there's a bit of mud thing going on. Here it was two enemies, a dragon and another boss fight, so you had to avoid the dragon's fire. But you also had to deal damage to the wearer. And there we go. That was it. And then I went to from 12 to 14 in this one dungeon here. So that's pretty good, I think myself. After the dungeon, I noticed that I picked up a quest, which was on the other side of the map, so I got curious. What was it for? And how far? So up on my flying bloom like Harry Potter, I went 7.1 kilometers across the Dragon Isles. I went flying, playing Quidditch. If you like that reference, let's just say I was playing Quidditch, but I flew a hell of a long way to get there. After the long flight on my broom, I landed on the island filled with pandas. I was confused. Very confused because is this Mist of Pandaria or is this the Dragon Isles? I could not tell, but who am I to judge? In all honesty, my first character was a Pandoran Alliance warrior back in Legion before I started playing Classic World of Warcraft. I could not, for the life of myself, find the small hidden entrance. So around and around I went after what felt like for ages. I finally found it after 3 attempts. The small entrance in the side of the mountain which went under the ground. After my little trip to the other side of the Isles, I came back, did some quests, and suddenly I got very confused. First of all, what is those fire circles around the middle of my screen and what does it indicate? You see, it's actually a counter, so whenever I do a critical hit with one of my fire spells, it makes the small circle. Whenever I do another fire spell with a critical hit for the second time in a row, it goes with a big one, and after that I get to cast an instant pyroblast or frame strike without the timer on, within a certain time span. That's very cool, but it was never explained to me, so I got very confused the first time I saw it. So yeah. The last level, I just been flying around the Dragon Isles and tried to learn how to do the new riding mechanics that Blitz had implemented in the Dragon Isles expansion, which I never learned in the first place. I did play a little bit of the War Within, but I didn't like the new riding technique. I need to be honest, but after doing the tutorial, I think this is what you want to call it, in this quest line here, where I spent level 19 to level 20 just learning how to ride the dragons and how to do the different mechanics. It was actually kind of fun. I will say I was skeptical at first, but I was actually kind of impressed.